Under the banner Basic Concepts of Economics, the concept of effective demand, number 1, is presented here. The question to be considered: what is effective demand in economics? What is effective demand in economics, or in market economics, or in microeconomics? The realized desire or want supported by the ability or willingness of the buyer or buyers to pay for a certain quantity of a good or service at a particular price and at a particular time is called effective demand. In microeconomics, the pivot or the focal point is the market mechanism or the free price mechanism, where the invisible hand of Adam Smith operates. In microeconomics, price is determined by the intersection of demand and supply curves. Now we can introduce a diagram by which we can understand what is effective demand in economics. The vertical axis measures price. The horizontal axis measures quantity of a good or service. D1 is the downward sloping demand curve. The points along this demand curve represent the willingness and ability of buyers to buy goods or services at different prices. Here, there is the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. If price decreases, quantity demanded increases. Price decreases, quantity demanded increases. In this way, there is the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Each point of the demand curve does not represent actual buying. Each of the points represent only the preparedness or readiness of the buyer to buy the good or service. So that preparedness or the readiness to buy is only anticipatory, it's not actual. Among these points, we don't know where the buyer actually buys. That is, we don't know at what market price, what amount the buyer actually buys. Let the supply curve come into the scenario. The supply curve represents the preparedness to sell at different prices. The supply curve is upward sloping, representing a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. The downward sloping demand curve and the upward sloping supply curve intersect at point C. At this intersection point of demand and supply curves, at this point, that is at the point C, equilibrium is established. So C is called the equilibrium point. And at this point, the price which is determined, that is called the equilibrium price, and the quantity determined is called equilibrium quantity. Here, it can be said either quantity demanded and supplied are equal at a particular price, or at a particular quantity, demand price and supply price are equal. The intersection point or the equilibrium point represents the effectiveness of demand. The quantity demanded is no longer intended or anticipatory, rather it is a realized one. The effective demand shows the amount of goods and services that consumers actually are buying. So the point of effective demand represents the reality of buying or the realized purchase. That is, the equilibrium quantity is purchased at the equilibrium price here. There are several points on the demand curve A, B, C, D, E. What is the point of effective demand here? At point C of the demand curve, supply curve intersects, and this is the point where the buyer or buyers actually buys the amount OQ bar at price OP bar. And so the point C is to be called point of effective demand. Now we understand what is effective demand. Effective demand refers to the consumer's actual purchase. That is, the realized desire supported with ability of the consumer and willingness to spend. What is ineffective demand in economics? The ineffective demand is merely a desire or want to have goods or services, except the point C, A, B, D, and E are not representing the realized demand, that is, the real purchase of goods and services is represented by the point C. The point C is effective. And the points A, B, D, and E are not effective. They are ineffective because they are not representing the real purchase of goods and services. The real purchase of goods and services is OQ bar at price OP bar, which is represented by the point C. Now, what is the difference between effective and ineffective demand? Effective means something that works or taking place or having results. So the demand which is realized or ends in an actual purchase is called effective demand. On the other hand, ineffective is used to represent something that does not work or does not carry results. So the demand which is not realized, that is, the actual purchase has not taken place, is called ineffective. The concept of effective demand is applicable in both micro and macroeconomics. Here we have so far concentrated on the concept of effective demand in microeconomics. The next video lecture will be on the concept of effective demand in Keynesian economics or macroeconomics. Thank you.